The Diablo 2 Paladin is easily the strongest class in the game, able to be one of the strongest tanks or one of the strongest casters, depending on what your preferences are with his skills. The Paladin has always filled an odd niche in Diablo 2, but really came to shine with the introduction of synergies, pushing his Blessed Hammer skills to an all-new level. Stat-wise, the Paladin is about what you'd expect from a tankier character, with 25 strength, 20 dexterity, 25 vitality, and 15 energy, and a bit heavier life growth than normal at 2 per level and 3 per point in vitality, while not slacking too much in energy at, well, 1.5 for both levels and energy points. Where he really shines, though, is in Breakpoints, with insanely fast block speeds, especially with Holy Shield, reasonable, faster hit recovery with most weapons, if you, of course, avoid spears and staves, which have a slower speed, and the same faster cast rate as a Necromancer. In other words, good stats, good frames, and you probably guessed what's coming next: good skills. At first glance, his skills look extremely team-oriented, and to an extent they are, with a defensive aura tree and an offensive aura tree to help tilt the party in one direction or another, and of course the combat tree to give the Paladin something to do during all of this, or more precisely, the combat skills to give the Paladin something to dominate with. In the combat tree, you have 4 main skills of interest, with the rest being mostly fun distractions for quirky builds or tech for specific situations that are often overlooked. In this latter category, we have Sacrifice, which throws away a chunk of life to boost your damage output, Vengeance, which adds elemental damage to your attacks based on your weapon damage, Conversion, which is the best way to lose friends because it converts monsters, yeah, it's that one, Holy Bolt, which does minor healing to allies and damage to undead, Fist of the Heavens, which would be awesome, but it also has an obscene cooldown that makes it useless, and of course there's Charge, the only skill of these 6 that makes it into the use in mainline builds, and that's because it lets you rush up and smack enemies in the face. Can also serve as a bit of useful movement tech to get around faster if you don't have teleport. The 4 remaining main skills of interest, though, are the cornerstones of 3 of the strongest builds in the game. Holy Shield, which is in almost every solid core Paladin build, which boosts block rate, boosts block speed, and boosts defense, and is just insanely useful in a lot of things. Smite, which is an auto hit, stun, knockback skill that deals okay physical damage and can carry some powerful on-hit effects with it, with the only drawback of not being able to leech, and it does get bonuses from the aforementioned Holy Shield. Zeal, which allows you to attack exceptionally fast and is the namesake of Zealots, ranging from Crushing Blow to Tesla variants. And the cream of the crop, Blessed Hammer, which is insanely difficult to aim for new players but can destroy almost every area in the game without breaking a sweat, thanks to synergies bringing it easily over 10,000 pure magic damage, even with very mediocre gear, getting massively higher with good gear. Next up is something a little bit more in the realm of normal, but only a little closer to it, and that is the offensive aura tree. On the left we have physical, in the middle we have elemental, and on the right, I'll just call it punishments. From top to bottom, in the physical realm, we have Might, which just boosts physical damage on attacks of allies in range, Blessed Aim, which boosts attack rating of allies, again in range, Concentration, which goes back to boosting the damage, but also makes attacks have a chance of avoiding interruption. Oh, and did we mention it's the only aura in the game that boosts Blessed Hammer directly while being active? Yeah. It is at half the rate of what it lists for normal attacks, but it still does help it. And finally, there's Fanaticism, a little bit more of a selfish aura, as only the Paladin gets the full boost, providing attack rating and attack speed at normal amounts to everybody, including the Paladin, and a damage boost which is only half the amount for allies that it gives to the Paladin. And of course, all of these require you to be in range. That should be kind of given with auras. In the elemental section, we have Holy Fire, which adds fire damage to attacks and does a little AoE fire damage to enemies in range. Holy Freeze, which pretty much does the same with cold by adding cold damage to attacks, cold AoE damage, but it also inflicts slow, not to be confused with chill on enemies. So yes, it can affect cold immunes. So do keep that in mind. And last up is Holy Shock, which is a similar deal, but with lightning damage and a fair bit higher damage than the other elemental auras. And over in the punishment area, we have Thorns, which is another melee damage reflection skill. We've seen a few of those already. It can be fun to mess around with, but ultimately not that useful. Sanctuary, which is your anti-undead aura. It's your turn undead that got ripped off from D&D, and it's a little bit overly complicated in what it is, and it's ultimately not that useful outside of very certain areas. Though, if you're curious, it's primarily a magic damage effect with knockback, and it can help you against physical resistant undead as well, but it's not super amazing. But at the bottom, we have something decidedly a lot more useful. Conviction, one of the 2 skills in the game that can break immunities, the other one being lower resist on the Necromancer. In this case, it reduces the enemy resistances to fire, lightning, and cold. It does not affect poison, though it is Also, a pretty significant reduction to enemy defense as well, which kind of makes up for that loss, making them significantly easier to hit, especially at high levels whenever it can get over a 90% reduction in enemy defense. So it's especially useful for elemental-based paladins and paladins traveling with parties that either A, need the enemy defense lowered, or B, need the enemy resistances lowered. And last, and definitely least, is the defensive aura tree. On the right you have resists, on the left you have prayer and prayer accessories, in the middle you have that other stuff that people often forget about but can sometimes actually be useful. On the resist side though, we have the obvious fire resist, cold resist, and lightning resist, all of which give the paladin some passive buffs whenever they're inactive to maximize the resists. Basically, it boosts. If you have a certain number of points, you can boost your maximum resist above the 75% norm. And yeah, they work in a few synergies, such as with the elemental auras and with vengeance, but generally are only gotten in very specific builds. At the very bottom of that side, you also have salvation, which is a combo of the three without the passive buffs, but does give, again, a synergy bonus to the various things, albeit at a lower rate than the individual resists. In the middle section, you have Defiance, which buffs defense, Vigor, which basically makes you run like you just ate Taco Bell laced with laxatives, and Redemption, which eats corpses to restore your mana and life. And over on the left, we have Prayer and Prayer accessories. Prayer itself giving a healing bonus periodically at the cost of mana. Generally recommended not to use it directly because the Prayer accessories can get the same healing effect plus their individual abilities without the mana cost. The Prayer accessories being first, Cleansing, which reduces curse and poison duration, as well as the Shrine duration, unfortunately, just kind of like Fade there, but also provides Prayer's healing effect for free. And second is Meditation, which every caster will love you for, since it provides a significant boost to mana recovery, as well as providing that prayer of healing that we mentioned before. It's also highly sought after for the Insight Rune Word, which provides meditation as well. And if you are playing with an Act 2 mercenary and can get meditation through Insight on them, it is worth noting that it will basically double the healing from prayer, because they will be providing prayer and meditation at the same time, and they do actually get the synergy bonus. With all that out of the way, it's pretty needless to say that someone missed the Jack of all trades memo with the Paladin, since he's definitely a master of a few playstyles, and extremely powerful when built correctly.